JJ, welcome to Breakdown. It's August 25th. We're going to talk some Big Ten football. Big Ten West, to be specifically. You feel up to it?
College football starts this weekend. I am more than ready for it.
Well, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. As you said, JJ, college football starts this weekend. We're going to talk strictly about the SEC, about the Big Ten West. We got two Big Ten teams playing this weekend. Actually, three.
Two titans of the industry.
We have Nebraska playing Northwestern, and we have Illinois playing Wyoming.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about those two games really quickly, and then we're going to get into the whole Big Ten West.
Yeah.
What's your take on Illinois and Wyoming?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about Wyoming. I know Josh Allen went there. Josh Doctson went there.
Okay.
A lot of playmakers. I do know that it's at Illinois, and Brett Bielema will still be their coach. So I wouldn't put it past Wyoming to, at the very least, cover the spread, maybe win the game.
Okay. The biggie, conference game.
Yeah.
Nebraska versus Northwestern. And it's not going to be at Nebraska, and it's not going to be in Chicago.
It's not even going to be in America.
Go figure.
They're trying to grow the sport.
All right. So what do you think about that game? It's going to be in Ireland.
It makes me wonder what Ireland ever did to America that they would send a Nebraska-Northwestern game to them as a representation of what good quality football is. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, two teams that were 3-9 last year.
Okay, 3-9.
They took different avenues to being 3-9.
Talk more about their 3-9 records.
So Nebraska lost all 9 of its games by a total of 56 points.
Nebraska lost 9 games by a total of 56 points.
There might have been one game that there wasn't a one-score game, but every other game, and maybe the Ohio State game, but every other game, Oklahoma and every other game was 8 points or less. So that's one touchdown and a 2-point conversion or less.
You're correct. The Ohio State was the only game that was slightly more than a one touchdown game.
But
so they lost 9 games by 56 points, you said.
Yeah, that point differential is tough.
Okay, Northwestern lost 9 games, so it sounds like we got a good matchup going into the game this Saturday.
They lost those 9 games by 210 points,
Ooh.
which is about 4 times the amount.
So Nebraska lost by 56 9 games. Northwestern lost by over 200 points. It's a no-brainer.
That's what DraftKings would probably say. DraftKings has the win totals for Nebraska and Northwestern a little bit differently. I think it's 7.5 for Nebraska and a whopping 4 for Northwestern. So
4. Okay, JJ, we're talking about the Big Ten West.
Mm-hmm.
The schools in the Big Ten West, we have Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern, Purdue, and Wisconsin.
Wisconsin is even ranked. That's the only team out of those that you listed that has a preseason ranking, but Wisconsin's ranked 18th.
So we have one Big Ten team from the West who's ranked in the top 25. Man, the West has struggled. How has the West done in the Big Ten championship games?
They're still waiting on their maiden win. They haven't gotten any of those yet, but they're scrapping, and eventually they're gonna knock down that door, and they might win they might eventually do it one day.
Okay, so this year, before we go team by team, well, you know what? I won't ask you now. No, I'm gonna ask you now. This year, who has the best chance of playing in the Big Ten Conference Championship game from the West?
Well, that preseason ranked team, Wisconsin.
Okay, I want your opinion specifically, not the rankings.
Well, if you don't want to go by rankings, if you'd like to do the DraftKings season win totals, they have the highest of any of the Big Ten.
I want to do your professional take.
I mean, I think it's going to be Wisconsin.
Okay, there you go. Okay, how would you like to proceed, JJ? You want to go school by school, or how would you like to proceed with our breakdown of the Big Ten West?
Yeah, we can just do a quick run by school what we think the record will be in like some games that stand out.
alphabetical order. Illinois. What's the big game for Illinois this year? And do they beat the over and under? DraftKings over and under is 4.5 games. Do they even have a big game?
No.
I agree with you. They do not have a big game. What's your take on the last year? Illinois was 5-7.
Mm-hmm.
DraftKings has their over and under at 4.5. Do they exceed their over and under or not?
They're showing a slight regression from their win total last year. I think that's even ambitious. I don't think that they're going to win even 4 games.
I think 4 would be the max. So I would obviously take the under in that one. Iowa. Last year, Iowa was 10-4.
Yeah.
This year, their over and under is only 7.5 by DraftKings.
They had one of the worst offenses in the entire FBS, college football.
Okay.
And they lost their only good offensive player, Tyler Goodson, their running back. So actually, I think that could help their offense in some ways because they would telegraph their plays on first down. They pretty much ran it all the time.
Okay.
So I think without him as a crutch, they might have to be forced into creativity. But they're still Iowa, so yeah.
Okay, Minnesota. Minnesota was 9-4 last year.
I say Iowa goes 7-5.
7-5.
Mm-hmm.
So they will not be over. The over and under is 7.5. You say their win will be 7. So you would take the under there. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I moved a little quickly. Minnesota. Last year they were 9-4.
Mm-hmm.
This year their over and under is the same as Iowa, 7.5. Will they go over?
I think they're gonna row the boat over 7-5. I actually think that they might win more than 8 games. So I think that they should be Wisconsin's main competition.
Okay, they have to go to Michigan in week 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry,
Michigan
Michigan State in week 4. That should be an interesting game right there.
I think that they probably lose it. I think they lose that game to Michigan State.
Okay. Their coach used to coach in the state of Michigan, and he'll be coming back to
PJ Fleck, yeah, Western Michigan.
Okay, so their over and under was 7.5, and you said that they were going to.
I think they go 8-4. I think the pivotal game for them is the Iowa game. They have a couple of Big Ten West games to end the season. That Iowa and Wisconsin. I think they get over the Iowa hump. That Wisconsin game could be for the Big Ten West.
Interesting.
I think they made that schedule for a reason. I think they scheduled Wisconsin and Minnesota the last game of the year for a reason.
Well, the last game is always not a rivalry game. Those games are scheduled. The last game of the year has been scheduled like that for at least since they've gone into these divisions.
But Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa have like a very interesting 3-headed rivalry thing. Okay. So they'll play one another. And I think with Iowa taking a step back, losing their running back, I think Minnesota and Wisconsin will fill that space that Iowa vacates.
Okay.
And I think that's the reason you have those 2 teams playing and not Iowa and Minnesota or Iowa and Wisconsin.
Let's talk about, in my mind, the most interesting team in the Big Ten West.
Okay.
That would be Nebraska. As you said earlier, last year Nebraska was 3-9. Their over and under this year is way more than 3. It's 7.5.
You can double their wins, and it's more than that.
That's true. So, what you think about the over and under?
Well, their non-conference schedule consists of Oklahoma, which I think it'll be a loss.
Okay.
But other than that, it's Georgia Southern and North Dakota. Not even North Dakota State.
They're playing Oklahoma at home this year. Last year they went to Norman, and they kept it a 1-touchdown, 2-point conversion game. And this year they get to play in Lincoln. You still pick it as a loss for them?
Absolutely. I think they lose by a lot.
Ooh, I guarantee you this, they will be motivated.
Well, I mean, they'll be motivated by something. Scott Frost said that they've been averaging 15 to 20 vomits per practice recently, as if that was a good thing, because Scott Frost lives in the 90s, I guess. I think he's an example of someone who works harder more than he works smarter. I think Nebraska's leadership can't get out of its way. But having said all that, 7.5 wins, I'm going to take the over just because I think the schedule is a lot easier. It's a lot more generous.
You're going to take the over. They do go to Michigan this year.
Which I think they're going to be losing that one.
They go to Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
They go to Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the other ones at home. They're home against Wisconsin.
Which I think they'll lose to Wisconsin.
Home against Minnesota.
Which I think they'll lose to Minnesota.
Oh man, you're not giving their home crowd much pub. I'm looking forward to I think they're the most interesting of the team in the West.
They're very interesting. Like Adrian Martinez isn't there after being there for like 75 years.
Okay.
It feels like they get the transfer from Texas, Casey Thompson coming in. They have a new offensive coordinator, Mark Whipple. I mean, yeah, they absolutely have the potential to do even better than the 8-4 that I predict. I mean, they have potential to do a lot better. Unfortunately, I think that the buck stops with Scott Frost, and I don't believe in him.
Okay, well, let's talk about this next Big Ten school. I said Nebraska was one of the most interesting. In alphabetical order, the next one would be Northwestern, and in my mind, one of the least interesting. Last year, Northwestern was 3-9.
Yeah. The year prior, they won their division.
That's true. In
the COVID year.
That's true. And last year, their loss point differential was over 200 points. Over and under this year's 4. So it's an improvement from last year's actual. What's your take on that?
They're out of conference schedule. I would anticipate them winning every game in their out of conference schedule. They play Duke.
I'm going to say they play Duke every year, and that's kind of going back and forth.
I think Duke, Northwestern, Vanderbilt, all the smart schools should play each other. And same thing with like Kentucky, Kansas, and North Carolina. All the basketball schools should play each other.
Wait a minute. You calling Kentucky a basketball school? I ain't gonna go there.
Don't tell Mark Stoops. I
won't go there. But
they certainly aren't a football school.
Back to Northwestern. Back to Northwestern. They do play Duke. Their non-conference schedule. They have Duke, Southern Illinois, Miami, Ohio. Not a great non-conference schedule.
A very winnable non-conference schedule.
Agreed. Will they break the over and under 4 games?
Yeah, I think they will at least push it. I think they're winning all their non-conference games, and definitely Illinois. I think the pivotal game for them is at Purdue. I don't think they're going to be favored against Purdue, but if they can win at Purdue, they can win 5 games.
So you got Northwestern winning the state of Illinois against Illinois, as you just said.
Yeah.
You think they're going to win? That'll be an interesting game.
Has Fitzgerald versus Brett Bielema, I'll take
I'm not, I don't think either of those. I think that's a toss-up. I really don't think. Now, Northwestern does not have a home field advantage. Mm-hmm. Even though they will be playing Illinois at home, they absolutely do not have a home field advantage.
No, they don't.
It'll be interesting. Okay, JJ, we got 2 more teams from the Big Ten West to do. Purdue. Last year, Purdue was 9-5.
It was a successful year. They finished in the top 25, and
I know they had some upsets.
Beat Iowa pretty badly.
Yeah. This year, over and under is 7.5. Any big game you see for Purdue?
For their first game of the season is a big game.
I agree. Who is that?
A very motivated Penn State who is starting the season unranked.
Okay, another Big Ten team, but it's not in the West. Penn State from the East, playing the first game of the season. Purdue has Penn State at home. I think that could be a good barometer for both these teams.
I would think so more if Purdue didn't lose 2 guys in their secondary, 2 studs in their secondary. They're the reason they were able to beat. I think they beat Ohio State a couple years ago. But those guys you could put on an island and you could just scheme your defense around that. And with them losing that, I know Penn State lost a receiver who went in the top 2 rounds of the NFL draft and everything. But Penn State reloads more so in recruiting than than Purdue. So I would trust that their ability to replace.
Okay. Well, Purdue's non-conference schedule: Indiana State, at Syracuse, and Florida Atlantic. To me, those are 3 very winnable games.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to go to Minnesota.
Yeah.
And they're at Maryland. Nebraska come to town. They're at Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Northwestern, Indiana. Over and under 7.5, and you say?
Say they go 6-6. I think they lose 5 games in a row in the heart of their schedule.
Tell me those 5.
Minnesota through Iowa.
So you said Minnesota, Maryland, Nebraska, Wisconsin, and Iowa.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna. The only game that they might be favored in is at Maryland, but I think Maryland has the second best quarterback in the conference in Talia Tagovailoa. So,
ahead of the U of M quarterbacks, and they got 2 of them.
Which means how many quarterbacks do they actually have?
Well, we know who the number 1 quarterback is.
Unfortunately,
at Ohio State.
yeah.
But I'm kind of surprised you have
No,
Maryland.
Well, I'm not the only one. Pro Football Focus has him as either the second best or maybe even ahead of C.J. Stroud. I can't remember, but just the amount of throws that he makes.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about them in our next video.
We'll get to the SC, the
But-
Big Ten East.
But Purdue, you say 6-6.
I say 6-6.
I tell you what, if they beat Penn State, and Penn State got the quarterback returning from last year, it's supposed to be a pretty good,
Sean Clifford, yeah.
improved team. But Penn State to me has a lot of questions. If Purdue beat Penn State first game of the season, they go 7-5.
So you have them going under it. If they
True.
So you have them
I'm
not going
having
under.
under DraftKings win total.
So we both have them going under. You just
Okay.
think that they could beat Penn State, and I think they lose to Penn State.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the second most interesting, in my mind, the second most interesting team in the Big Ten West.
The only ranked one.
The only ranked one. That'd be Wisconsin.
Yeah. They have the highest expected win total at 8.5.
They were 9-4 last year. DraftKings have them at 8.5 this year, as you said. They finished the season up really, really tough. They finished the season at Iowa, at Nebraska, and home to Minnesota. All of those are within their own division, and there are teams that are
Competing.
supposed to compete with them, and you have all 3 of them at the end of the season. I think that's really, really big.
Yeah.
To me, though, if I had to give the biggest game for Wisconsin this year, it's going to be when they go to East Lansing in week 7. That's going to be a big game.
Yeah, I have that chalked up to a loss, though. I think the pivotal game for them is home against Maryland. But I'm a huge believer in Toledo. I think he takes a giant leap. But we'll save that for the Big Ten East podcast.
Okay, so you, including Maryland, their last 4 games are going to be really tough games. Finish up tough.
Well, yeah, I just think that they're gonna probably win out the last 3.
Do you?
I don't have nearly the reverence for Iowa, and I don't think Nebraska's ultimately that interesting, honestly.
Man, I think Nebraska's super interesting. Losing those 9 games by 56 points. Who knows?
Yeah, they lost some players from that team too.
True, but they gained a lot of experience.
Yeah,
they gained a lot of experience.
that's true. And Wisconsin lost players too. They lost 2 starters from the offensive line, but their running back does turn 18, which is good.
And what did he do last year? He had a exceptional freshman year.
A Wisconsin running back having a good year?
As a freshman, a 17-year-old freshman last year.
That never happens. Jonathan Taylor, Monty Ball.
That's why. You know what? The Big Ten West they don't put fright into any school. Wisconsin's non-conference schedule includes Illinois State, Washington State, and New Mexico State. In my mind, 3 easy blowout wins. I mean, blowout wins. 2
should definitely be a blowout. Washington State is a legitimate. I mean, They lost to my alma mater, Central Michigan Chippewas, in the most recent bowl.
Yeah, I remember that. But there were some circumstances surrounding that.
Yeah, so maybe they're capable of definitely losing to many a team, but I think Washington State's a legitimate.
They're legit as for their Power 5. I don't think they have a shot at winning at Wisconsin.
At Wisconsin, it's going to be hard to win at Camp Randall.
I do. So, with the exception of Ohio State and Michigan State in their first 8 games, their last 4 games, to me, are going. I mean, they won't be testing their first 8 games aside from Michigan State and Ohio State.
Yeah.
But then after that, their last 4 games, that's where the rubber meets the road. We'll see how Wisconsin do those last 4 games, and 2 of them are at home and 2 of them are on the road. Maryland, Iowa, Nebraska, and Minnesota. Okay, all said and done, JJ. Any more you got on Wisconsin?
I don't have anything more on Wisconsin specifically.
Anything more on any of the Western?
In general, I will say the out-of-conference slate for the Big Ten West is incredibly disappointing. It reminds me of like what the Big Ten East or the SEC West does, but the difference is the Big Ten East has to play in the Big Ten East and the SEC West has to play in the SEC West. They have a conference schedule that, that's a lot more beefy. It has a lot more substance to it.
If you took if you took Oklahoma out of the non-conference schedule, it would be a sleeper. It would be a total sleeper. It
would be very, very, very bad. And it's, credit to Nebraska, I guess. Yeah, the out-of-conference schedule is just. I mean, they're padding some wins. They want to send some teams bowling, but it's not. I mean, you shouldn't have a conference division that's that weak in that conference schedule that's also that weak.
Okay, JJ, you've already told me your number 1 pick for the Big Ten West. Before we get out of here, give me your number 2 team. Minnesota. So where you got Nebraska?
I guess 3, somewhere around Iowa. I guess I have them going 8-4, so that they'd be 3rd.
Okay. Well, there you have it, everyone. JJ got Wisconsin winning it. Minnesota.
And
I have Wisconsin.
You have Wisconsin winning
but
it.
I do have Nebraska a close second, and maybe even tied for the win. And Nebraska went 3-9 last year. If Nebraska go 9-4 this year, do they be coach of the year?
No, but he probably won't lose his job.
Okay. All right. Hey, JZ, that's about it for the Big Ten West. What you got? Anything else?
I got nothing. We got the Big Ten West this time up. I think next time we're going to do the SEC East.
Sounds like a plan.
And then we can have the heavy hitters, the Big Ten East and the SEC West, be our last 2.
I like that. Make sure you come back for the SEC East, because last year the national champion came out of the SEC East.
Will they again? Probably not. Spoiler alert.
Okay, WPS. Woo Pig Suey. What you got, JJ?
Who dey? Bengals going to the Super Bowl.
All right, Arkansas winning it all in the college championship this year.
And the World Series, too. I'll take that, too.
I will, too. I can't wait. KJ.
All right.
And all those players.
See you next time.